And our job today, our specific mission for this album quest is to really dig into the results for round one, group 199. If you've been following along with this whole thing, you know these groups can be...
Oh, wow. Just astonishing clashes of genre, time periods, even formats.
Oh, absolutely. So this group 199, it feels like a perfect test case for the blogger's whole approach, really. It kind of forces us to ask the big question, what actually makes an album the best? According to this system, anyway.
And the 4 contenders in this particular group. Group 199, honestly, it might be the most jarring mix we've seen yet. We've got 2 winners moving forward naturally and 2 facing the chop right away.
It's a proper musical battleground spanning decades, isn't it?
It really is. So competing in this round are, first up, from 2014, the self-titled debut from that, explosive UK rock duo, Royal Blood.
Right, big sound.
Then, jumping back to 1995, we've got the debut from the Irish pop rock family group, the Corrs, with Forgiven Not Forgotten.
Okay, very different vibe already.
Totally. Then third, we leap way back, mostly pre-1960s stuff, with the Sunday Express Mother's Day compilation, various artists, absolute legends on there.
Compilation, against debut albums.
Interesting. Exactly. And finally, rounding out this eclectic bunch, we have the 2004 So Cold EP from the post-grunge band Breaking Benjamin.
Wow. Okay. I mean, just looking at that list, it's a philosophical puzzle right there. You've got this massive historical compilation album going up against an EP, just an EP, and then 2 debut studio albums from completely different musical worlds and decades.
Yeah.
It makes it crucial, doesn't it? We have to figure out the logic, the criteria the blogger is using here, because it's obviously not just about, who sold more or which decade it came from.
Precisely. The rules are simple, 2 advanced, 2 are out. But as you said, that mix of formats, a 6-track EP versus a 19-track compilation, it means the very idea of an album is pretty flexible in this quest.
Right.
So the quest seems to put a huge amount of weight on the, let's say, the consistency and the overall impact of whatever music is there, no matter how long it is or where it came from.
Okay, let's dive into the eliminations then.
Yeah.
Section 1. This really shows that, being good at your instruments, having technical skill, even having a ton of hype, it doesn't mean much if you stumble on, 2 key things: consistency and having your own sound.
Yeah. Let's start with the first casualty, which was pretty decisively put down, the Breaking Benjamin So Cold EP.
Right. And the story the blogger tells about this EP, it's all about this really quick, kind of painful nosedive. It apparently started off so well, which almost makes the failure feel worse.
Yes.
The critique says it opened strong.
Yeah.
There's what the reviewer called a pretty nice acoustic rendition of the title track, So Cold. Okay, nice start. And then, boom, right after that, it shifts gears completely to this powerful, full-on rock-out electric track, Blow Me Away.
And that is a great opening combo. 1-2 punch, right? Shows they can do different things, quiet, intense acoustic, then massive rock energy. It suggests, real songwriting chops.
Yeah, definitely.
And the blogger even noted if the EP had just been those 2 songs, it could have been a tidy little, albeit short album. Might have even gone through just based on hitting 100% on quality.
But it wasn't just 2 tracks, was it? That's the problem.
Exactly. 6 tracks total. And this is where that consistency rule just slams the door shut. The other 4 tracks, that's 2/3, 66% of the whole thing apparently falls way short.
And not just a bit weaker. The description sounds like it's an actual steep drop.
Yeah, it's not like it just petered out. It sounds like a real failure of quality control. The blogger tracked it, saying the quality gets noticeably worse with each song that follows. It creates this almost agonizing downward slide for anyone listening.
Ouch.
So that's maybe the first big lesson from Greens to Rocks' album quest. Inconsistency. It's fatal. You absolutely have to deliver a good experience from beginning to end. 2 amazing tracks just can't carry 4 weak ones.
And the absolute lowest point, the thing that really cemented its last place finish, was the live track, wasn't it? Breakdown Live.
Oh, yeah. The description of listening to that track, it's maybe the most visceral rejection I've read in these reviews. The reviewers said they were driven to positively plead for it to please stop.
Wow. Plead for it to stop.
Yeah. Think about that reaction. You're listening to music and your brain is actively, desperately wanting silence instead. It wasn't just boring or mediocre. It sounds like it was an actively unpleasant listen.
Yeah. Pleading for silence. That's about as damning as it gets, isn't it? Much worse than just calling something meh or bland. Okay. So Breaking Benjamin is out. Lesson learned. Maintain quality, people.
Absolutely. And that brings us neatly to the second elimination. This one needed a bit more unpacking, I think, because the band involved is, well, undeniably talented and had some serious heavyweight backing. Royal blood.
Right.
This is where the focus shifts a bit from consistency to identity, or maybe lack thereof.
Okay, this is the decision I find myself wrestling with the most, personally.
Yeah.
Because Royal Blood had so much buzz around them. The blogger even says they bought the album because they saw them live, maybe Glastonbury. And crucially, they had that massive endorsement from rock royalty itself, Jimmy Page.
You're right to flag that. I mean, Jimmy Page calling you the future of rock. That should carry some weight, shouldn't it?
It really should.
And yet, after spending real time with the album, the self-titled debut, Royal Blood, the blogger's final feeling was just indifference.
Indifference. Ouch.
Yeah. Not anger, not even really disappointment, just didn't care.
And indifference, especially when you're on a quest for the best albums of all time.
Yeah.
That's arguably worse than failing spectacularly, isn't it? An album should make you feel something.
It really should. And the analysis points towards a studio translation issue. The blogger felt that, the explosive energy, the raw power they saw live just did not quite translate to the studio recording. The skill was there, the competency was obvious, but that visceral, raw thing, it was kind of missing.
Okay, so the live magic didn't quite make it onto the disc.
Okay.
But the core reason for elimination seems to pivot away from that, towards this identity issue, specifically comparing them to another really famous heavy rock duo.
The White Stripes. Yep. This is where Greenstrokes leans into the really subjective personal side of the criteria. The reviewer carefully listed the parallels. Both bands are two pieces, right? Drums and bass, or in the Stripes' case, guitar.
Mm-hmm. Both create this heavy, jamming, rhythmic-driven rock noise. And this seems key. Both use that distorted vocal delivery at those really intense, powerful moments.
So the sound itself just felt too familiar. It immediately made the blogger think of someone else, which is basically a death sentence in a quest focused on finding unique greatness.
Pretty much, yeah. The analogy the blogger uses is kind of funny, but also really tells you everything. Mm-hmm. They said they felt like they were cheating on the White Stripes, specifically Jack White, while listening to Royal Blood.
Cheating on Jack White.
Right. The music was fine, the playing was technically excellent, but the whole experience felt derivative. It created this uncomfortable feeling of déjà vu, apparently, making the listener almost wish they were just listening to the original inspiration instead.
Okay, but this raises a really important question, I think, for anyone listening. Can technical skill, actual rock god-approved competency like Jimmy Page gave them, can that really be canceled out just by a subjective feeling that it sounds a bit like someone else? That it feels redundant? Well, in the world of the Greenstrokes album quest, the answer seems to be a pretty clear yes. If your fundamental sound makes the listener feel like they're hearing a slightly less exciting version of an already legendary band, you fail the identity test. The album was ultimately found to lack its own distinctive melodic structure, which kind of undercut their obvious musical competencies. There was one track highlighted, 10-Ton Skeleton, as being pretty good.
Okay.
But the rest just kind of categorized as mostly meh, which, put it above the total quality collapse of Breaking Benjamin, but still meant elimination.
So Royal Blood, highly produced, Page endorsed,
Yeah.
21st century rock out because they didn't sound unique enough, Breaking Benjamin out because they fell apart halfway through. The quest has already taught us consistency and originality seem to trump studio shine or initial hype.
Exactly. And that perfectly sets the stage for the two albums that did make it through, and they got through for wildly different reasons.
Right. Let's move on to section 2 then. The classic contender. This is where things get really interesting because we see an album advance, even though it apparently punishes your ears with terrible sound quality. This is the Sunday Express Mother's Day collection.
Yeah, this is the real philosophical curveball in the group, isn't it? Where the actual quality of the songs and their historical significance go head-to-head with, well, basic listenability.
So tell us about this collection. It's basically a compilation, right? Old songs.
That's right. It's a curated set of songs, almost all from before 1960. Seems like it was put together for maximum nostalgia, sentimental value, Mother's Day theme, obviously.
Okay.
And on paper, the blogger says it's a wonderful collection, really, like a genuine archive of musical history. It features some of the absolute biggest names of the 20th century, but, and it's a huge but, this wonderfulness is apparently crippled by one single, really severe technical problem that just dominates the whole listening experience.
Which is?
A serious sound quality degradation issue. Emphasis definitely on the serious.
And the blogger really paints a picture of how bad it is, right?
Yeah.
It's not just like a bit of crackle.
Oh, no, not at all. They use this perfect, really vivid analogy to get the point across. Think about Judy Garland singing Somewhere Over the Rainbow, a song that needs that crystal clarity to hit you emotionally.
Absolutely iconic.
Well, the blogger describes the version on this compilation as sounding like it was recorded underwater next to a noisy steam vent or something.
Underwater,
Yeah.
next to a steam vent. Okay, that sounds unlistenable. Like it was maybe dubbed from a really worn-out vinyl record covered in scratches, or maybe a terrible tape transfer. It sounds like an artifact, not really a performance you can enjoy.
Pretty much. And yet, despite this massive audio handicap, the sheer weight and quality of the actual songs, the artists involved, it proved impossible for the blogger to just dismiss it. We're talking genuine, legendary star power here.
Yeah, the track list mentioned is incredible. Nat King Cole doing Smile. I mean, that song just is optimism. Frank Sinatra singing Blue Skies and Billie Holiday. That Ole Devil Called Love. These are foundational tracks.
Exactly. And beyond those giants that everyone knows, the compilation apparently delivered something else that was crucial for the reviewer: discovery. They found some gems they weren't actually expecting.
Oh, like what?
Like Doris Day's captivating sentimental journey and Louis Armstrong doing his beautiful take on La Vie en Rose. So it wasn't just listening to dusty old museum pieces. There were these moments of genuine surprise and pleasure finding tracks they hadn't known well before.
Ah, okay. So that combination, the massive historical importance and the personal discovery element, that must be what tipped the scales. It somehow outweighed the awful sound quality.
It seems so, and that's precisely why this noisy, distorted compilation managed to grab second place, knocking out the technically perfect, modern-sounding Royal Blood album.
Right, that's the core argument, isn't it?
That is the absolute crux of it and the key takeaway here. The blogger explicitly stated they ranked it above Royal Blood because the compilation has far more musical color and vibrancy than what they called the slightly gray, almost bland Royal Blood debut.
Okay, hold on. I have to push back on that a bit. How can something that sounds like it was recorded next to a steam vent have more musical color than a modern rock album? Isn't that just rewarding nostalgia, maybe? Prioritizing the idea of the music over the actual sound hitting your ears, the thing you, the listener, actually experience.
And that's exactly the challenging point Greenstarox is making here. The color they're talking about clearly isn't technical fidelity. It's not about crisp highs and deep bass. It's about the cultural resonance, the emotional depth, the melodic richness woven into the songs themselves. The Corrs, who we'll get to, they seem to have had both color and competence. Royal Blood had the competence, but was perceived as kind of gray. The Mother's Day collection, terrible technical competence, zero production quality by modern standards, but maximum cultural and emotional color. And in this head-to-head, that contrast between musical color and gray, almost bland, was the deciding factor. Content trumped clarity.
Fascinating. Okay. So the second album, moving on, is the Mother's Day compilation, despite sounding like it was recorded in a swamp, which means our Group 199 winner, the album that somehow managed to tick both the consistency box and the identity box, must be the Corrs.
That's right. Section 3, the group winner, we've got Irish charm and those mysterious lyrics. The Corrs, with their 1995 debut, Forgiven, Not Forgotten, they snagged the top spot in Group 199. Seems like they did it by successfully mixing originality, consistency, and just plain good musicianship.
Yeah, they were huge back in the mid-90s, weren't they? Known specifically for that blend, mixing traditional Irish folk sounds with, like, contemporary pop rock. Can you remind us about the band members and their setup?
Sure. It's a proper family affair, which is part of their charm, I think. They really harness their individual musical skills. You've got Sharon mainly on violin and doing vocals, Caroline holding down the rhythm on drums, also vocals, Jim on guitar, and then Andrea, the distinctive lead vocal, and the album itself. Described as a pretty solid collection of fairly laid-back, effectively AOR songs, mostly with an Irish spin.
AOR, album-oriented rock. That's a key term there. For listeners maybe not familiar, that usually means, radio-friendly, quite melodic, polished rock music. Focus is often on song structure, good vocals.
Exactly.
So when you take that kind of accessible, structured songwriting and weave in traditional Irish instruments like the violin and tin whistle, that's where their unique identity comes from.
Precisely. The Corrs pulled off that combination. They had the melodic skill of AOR, but mixed it with their very distinct Irish roots. And importantly, the production quality was noted as good. So it was a clear, satisfying listen, unlike the compilation.
Like a key difference.
And the musical talents of all four siblings apparently shine through. So here you have competence plus charm plus a clear identity. It's the formula that neatly sidestepped the problems that tripped up royal blood.
Okay, let's dive into some specific tracks. What about the title track, the opener, Forgiven Not Forgotten?
Yeah, the opener was highlighted, called an engaging opener, and it apparently had this intriguing quality the blogger described as an almost prog-like start to proceeding.
Prog-like?
Yeah.
It's unexpected for a 90s pop rock band known for being quite accessible. Suggest maybe more complexity than you'd initially think?
It does, maybe in the structure or instrumentation, and crucially, this track also came with a dose of lyrical mystery, which seems to be something that really appeals to this reviewer's learner persona, their desire for those aha moments.
Okay, so what was the mystery?
Well, according to the blogger, the depth comes from the ambiguity in the story the lyrics tell. It's a tale, but about a father who's gone, a lover who's been lost, or maybe just a powerful, kind of hazy childhood memory. That lack of a clear answer forces you, the listener, to engage more deeply, right? To bring your own interpretation. It turns the song from just something pleasant to listen to into more of a puzzle to solve.
I see. That engagement factor again makes sense. Okay, so from that intriguing, slightly mysterious opener, we get to their big debut single, the one that really launched them internationally, Runaway.
Ah, Runaway. Yeah, that's the quintessential 90s Corrs hit, isn't it? Described as whimsical and romantic. And there's an interesting little note about its creation. Apparently, this specific song was written just by the three sisters Sharon, Caroline, and Andrea without Jim.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it kind of speaks to the different creative dynamics within the family, maybe. Shows how they could craft both those big AOR hits and the more traditional folk pieces.
Right. And speaking of the traditional folk stuff, while the album gets praise for its charm and overall quality, the reviewer did acknowledge one potential criticism, didn't they? Something about the balance.
Yes, exactly, the balancing act. While that blend is their unique identity, the blogger did note that for some listeners, perhaps, the album might get a bit heavy on the traditional Irish folk.
How so?
The observation was quite specific. It seems like a traditional Irish tune, often instrumental, gets thrown in after every fourth song or so. So if you were listening primarily for the pop rock AOR stuff, that pattern could feel like it interrupts the flow a bit.
I can see that.
But importantly, the quality of those folk tracks themselves was still considered high, so even with the genre shifting, the consistency was maintained, which we know is crucial.
Got it. And what about moments that showed a different side, maybe more atmospheric? The track Aaron Shore was mentioned.
Yes, Aaron Shore. That's highlighted as a great example of their broader musical palette. On this track, the album apparently shifts gears quite dramatically, moving into what the reviewer called an Enya-like feel.
Ah, okay. Sweeping soundscapes.
Exactly. Thinking of that famous Irish singer known for those big, atmospheric, almost new age sounds, Aaron Shore is described as having dramatic tribal rhythms and sweeping instrumentalization. It really showed the band could do more than just standard pop rock. They could create something much more expansive and, well, dramatic. Real command of texture.
So wrapping up the Corrs, the final verdict seems to be that Forgiven Not Forgotten is a delightful little album with some charming material. It's consistent. It's got its own original blend of AOR and Irish folk. The playing is good. The lyrics can be engaging. Basically, it ticked all the necessary boxes to win the group.
Yeah, it successfully navigated those three key, often competing demands that the other albums failed to juggle all at once. Consistency, a clear identity, and just good quality content.
Okay, let's pull it all together then. Section 4. Looking at the final results and what they tell us. Remind us of the final ranking that decided who moved on to round 2 of this album quest.
Right. The final decisive order for Group 199, sending the top 2 forward, was...
Forgiven Not Forgotten by the Corrs.
Okay.
Number 2, Sunday Express Mother's Day. Various artists.
The compilation, right?
Number 3, Royal Blood. And number 4, So Cold EP by Breaking Benjamin.
So the result is locked in.